I don't even know how to begin. My thoughts are all over the place. Before you call me immature and vindictive, let me tell you that I'm probably both immature and vindictive, but still need advice, so hear me out. My fiance, male 29, and I, female 28, have been together for 5 years, engaged for 1. Before me, my boyfriend was in a long-term relationship with his high school sweetheart. They broke up when she moved to India to find herself. He didn't do long-distance relationship and broke it off. They stayed in touch and continued to be best friends. Anyway, last September, the ex-girlfriend moved back home and wanted to see him. He asked me if it was okay, and I said sure. I have seen their conversations, and they're really just very good friends. I even liked her. Anyway, after their meeting, my fiancé started acting weird and distant. I asked him multiple times what's up, and he said nothing. 3 weeks later, I came home to him packing his belongings. He told me that when he went to meet his ex, he wanted to get a closure. But both he and ex realized that there was a lot of feelings left between them and that he couldn't marry me with this hanging over him. He gave me the "it's not you, it's me" routine and left. A week later, it was all over her IG. I was so heartbroken. I stayed in bed for a whole week crying, while my parents, sister, and fiancé's parents took care of canceling the wedding. His mother was so devastated and told my parents that they will take care of all the non-refundable deposits and costs. My landlord sent me a new contract with only my name on it because fiancé had taken off his name. He had also paid his share of the notice period of 3 months. I planned on keeping the flat since it's very cheap. We were planning on buying a house. About a month later, I started getting very aggressive texts and voice messages from the ex, telling me that I was a pathetic C-word for not letting fiancé go. I was like, what the duck? Since he moved out, I have never talked to or texted my fiancé. He turned up later at my door saying that he had made a big mistake, that he loved me and never stopped thinking about me this whole time. He got cold feet and was panicking about getting married and needed time to think, and now he's good to go and wanted a second chance. I told him to scarper and close the door. Later, my mom ambushed me when she asked me around for tea. When I got there, both my parents, my sister, brother, my fiancé, his sister, and his parents were there. They were all trying to persuade me to take him back. I just couldn't get it. How could everyone just forgive and forget so easily? The sentiment was that everyone I knew basically told me if I didn't give my fiancé a second chance, then I'm out of their lives. That he was obviously very regretful, and that he wasn't the first nor the last person to get cold feet. It wasn't too late to rebook the venue, and that the guests were still invited, and fiancé's family were going to pay for every single detail this time, and even paying for my wedding dress. They tripled the dress budget. Fiancé's mom asked me if I still love him, and I didn't lie. Well, then love always prevails. They kept their promise of cutting all contact with me. Nobody called or answered my calls. They ignored my birthday, save for fiancé who turned up at my doorstep with flowers and ice cream, and I wasn't even invited to my sister's baby shower. This went on for almost 2 months. It was then I decided I wanted to hurt all of them mofos. I called my fiancé and asked him to meet me. We talked for about 3 hours over dinner. I told him I agreed to take him back, but that he must cut off ex and start counseling. He said done and done. He's moving back in January. What he doesn't know is that I'm just biding my time because I'm planning to leave him at the altar as a middle finger to him and both families who all witnessed how he broke my heart and stamped on it. He took away my dignity and I lost my self-worth when he just up and left for another woman he barely knew, and everyone thought it a good idea to emotionally manipulate me into taking him back. I have bought a small flat in the city, closer to work. I'm getting the keys in March, and I'm renovating it from scratch. Hopefully I can move there when everything goes down. I'm also going to terminate my lease. It's still in my name only, 3 months before the wedding. My sister is very suspicious now and told me that if I'm going to do anything stupid, nobody will forgive me in a long time. I told her if she utters her suspicions to anybody, I will never be in her or her daughter's life. My BFF is totally on my side. I can't help but feel guilt, but every time I feel that way, I just remember his "it's not you, it's me" and start boiling. I don't know if I'm going too far with this. Any advice on how to move past my resentment in a less nuclear way? I should have grabbed some popcorn before reading this. Duck your family and his. Petty me says go nuclear and give him the pain exactly how he gave you. Maybe he'd realize in a future relationship to not duck with people's emotions and actually talk his feelings out instead of being a coward. But adult me says maybe you need some therapy to start healing, and talking to someone can really help you work through your pain, and you'll find someone better who won't be a piece of crap. I want an update once this all goes down. He took away my dignity, and I lost my self-worth. You doing this is the actual moment you lose your dignity. It seems pretty pathetic. Your fiance didn't take away your dignity. You're really throwing it all away yourself. What happened to you sucks, but heartbreak happens to everyone. Why not just show how above it you are by not making a dramatic scene everyone will talk about for years? My sister is not really my sister. She's my cousin, who was abandoned by her mother and raised by mine, her mom's sister, and my dad from the age of about 13. She was around us a lot well before that, and to my kid mind, she was my awesome big sister. I only really understood this situation once I was 10 years old. She's always been cheeky, rebellious, fun, outgoing, the complete opposite of me. She was a great influence until she took a few too many wrong turns in life and went no contact after choosing her now ex-boyfriend over our family. My parents basically said they didn't support her relationship with him because he was a bum, emotionally, and later physically, financially, aggressive, and that she could do better. So when I was about 12, she left home and wasn't around for a long time. We missed her, and I felt especially upset as she was the greatest big sister, and I thought I needed her to help navigate life as a preteen and then teen. When she came back home suddenly, I was 15 and she had a son, and fearing for their safety, she finally left her aggressive boyfriend and came home to the only family she knew. Slowly but surely, she rebuilt her relationship with us, and trust, love, and familiarity was slowly gained. I loved having her back, and having a nephew was the best. She found a job, went to school while my parents happily helped raise her son, and built her own confidence back. At school, she met her current fiance, a decent, loving, hardworking man who treated her and her son like they were everything he prayed for. Even his family were supportive of their relationship, and we all felt like my sister had found her happiness. The issue I need advice on was my sister asking me for a favor. Last year, I visited her at the flat after she asked me to come around. She let me know that I would be doing her a huge favor if I were to sleep with her fiance. I thought it was a joke, but she let me know they both discussed sleeping with other people before they got married and settled down properly. Obviously, I was completely disturbed and told her no. Her reasoning for asking me was that they wanted someone who was trustworthy and loyal to both of them. She told me she would be sleeping with one of her fiance's cousins, who he's close with. I told her that this idea was ducked up on so many levels. To ask family members to sleep with a significant other, potentially risking these relationships forever for some cheap high, was crappy and indecent. I told her what she and her fiancé had was incredible, and that they were both risking way too much for almost nothing. Plus, she is well aware that I am a virgin, as I've never been a fan of casual hookups, so if this were to happen, her fiancé would be my first. I left her place feeling angry and betrayed, and refused to see her for a few weeks. Even our family noticed, but I refused to tell them the reason, and just told them she made me angry. She apologized after a few weeks, and I decided to try to move on. However, after about a month, she brings it up again, this time with her fiancé present. I'm mortified at this point, because my sister is telling me they have role-played this situation themselves and are ready for the real thing. Again, I point out to both of them how inappropriate this is, and point out my feelings on Loveless S to my future brother-in-law. He decides to respect my feelings and apologize, promising to never bring it up with me again. However, sister is not listening. Her fiancé keeps asking her to stop, but she's getting angry, telling me that I'm ruining her relationship with her man, that I'm not a supportive sister. I tell them both to leave. This was at my parents' house. And again, I've not spoken to her in 2 or so weeks. Her friends and I were planning a bridal shower for her in August, but as it stands, I don't think I can go, as I can't even look her in the face. However, she is my sister, and I love her, and I don't want to miss out on her shower, or her wedding in October. If I did, I think our relationship would be irreparable. Does anyone have any advice? I feel like I've not enjoyed this summer at all because of this situation. I've missed out on family outings and even my nephew's end-of-year play. Should I just go through with it to appease her? Or should I try and convince her once more about how much I love her but can't do this? What the duck? That is really ducked up. Definitely don't force yourself to lose your virginity to a man you don't even like in that way, because your sister wants you to. You are going to regret it. It will probably feel horrible and not only lead to tension between you and them, but you might be pulled into the middle of a problem that these two have in their relationship. You need to consider telling your parents. This is super weird and inappropriate behavior. I would also be very careful about going anywhere with your sister. For example, she has a bachelorette party and alcohol is involved. She might try to pressure you while you're intoxicated. It doesn't sound like she understands what no means. She also seems very selfish. Update. I'm meeting with my mom in half an hour. I'm going to tell her everything. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me with the advice to tell them. The overwhelming opinion that this is A has really shaken me. My stomach is in knots and I keep dry heaving, but you've all made me realize this isn't on me, and that the only way this can end well is if I tell my parents. I've decided with my mom because whilst she's very fiery, she's also a lot closer to us both. My sister was a nightmare bridezilla. She got married a year ago, and everything building to her wedding, including her wedding day. It all started 2 years ago when she appointed her maids of honor and left me out, which hurt like a burnt butthole, but I let it go because it wasn't my day. The maid of honor she appointed was in another city, so she asked me to plan the engagement party. I did because she was still my sister. I planned it. She wanted like a fairy tale themed thing. I gave her the plan and she wasn't happy because it looked too cheap. I told her I was on a budget and I did my best. She said that if I upped the fanciness, she would pay for half and to just write up everything in an Excel sheet. So I did. Formally, I would have only been spending $200, but after upping it and checking multiple times with her, it came to a grand total of $1.3K. The worst part is that she spent the whole party criticizing the DJ, the aperitifs. Everything was too bad. She said it was a train wreck. People were enjoying themselves, and even her fiance was happy. My mom ended up reimbursing me months later, and she refused to talk to me for 2 months. She then threw her bachelorette party. We went to Mallorca. The plan was to go to the Party Mile and go to a male strip club they have there. Then go back to hotel and drink at the hotel bar and play some drinking games. It was a ducking mess. My sister had a proper meltdown because a bridesmaid had a dress that was more expensive than hers. She threw a glass of white wine on her and screeched. Of course, that bridesmaid noped the duck out, and we tried to make the evening better, but the atmosphere was damped. My sister literally said to me, "I guess I have no options but replace bridesmaid with you." I did it because my parents begged me to. She had me stand in the back of everything because my boobs were upstaging her. At her wedding, she was no better. She screamed at the florist because the sunflowers were not yellow enough. She screamed at her makeup artists because they didn't put extra glitter on her already loaded eyelid. She had another fit at her wedding because her wedding cake wasn't delicious enough. She threw the whole thing at the ground. She had a fight with her maid of honor because she told my sister to calm down and then slapped the maid of honor. She pulled a waiter by the collar to scream at him because he brought her mother-in-law the wrong drink. It was a mess. After the wedding, she texted the group that we ruined her wedding. Well, to say the least, she lost every friend she had, and the woman literally couldn't figure out why. After her honeymoon, she texted me and said she forgave me and that we should meet up for coffee. I told her I didn't want to talk. She blew up. 1 year later, she came by my parents' place and cried me a river about how she regrets how she was behaving, about how she didn't know why she did what she did, and that she misses me. I was really taken aback and left. I don't know if I want her back, especially now that I am getting married myself. I am scared that she is going to pull something at my wedding. As soon as you mentioned your wedding, it clicked. She wants back in, and sorry to say, your wedding may also turn into her day. If you don't want a rerun of the absolute crap show that was her wedding, I'd keep her well away. Holy crap, what a nightmare. I would be so cautious about letting her back into my life, much less at my wedding. Honestly, this is your decision. I would not fault you if you noped the diggity duck out of there. But if you do want a relationship with her again, take that crap slow as molasses, even if that means not inviting her to your wedding. Remember, you and the rest of her wedding party, and a whole boatload of other people, are the ones who were wronged. If any of you want a relationship with her again, you get to build that relationship on your terms, not hers.